everybody, welcome to Aderans UK Live, and I've got Bradley back with me this week. It's a few weeks that you've seen him in the flesh. We've seen him on videos, but it's a little while since he's been here in the studio with me. So I'm very pleased to have Bradley back with me this evening. And we've got a really exciting evening ahead.
Yeah.
Talking about all those really good looks from London Fashion Week that you've been looking at.
And all the other fashion weeks around Europe and the world, because it's just too much going on right now to just do London.
There's so much going on, really. And I think it's that time of year at the moment. It's kind of coming into autumn, and we're all starting to think about, you know, wearing your cosy jumpers, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Having your pumpkin lattes instead of your, like, different kind of drinks in the summer drinks that we normally have. Thinking about wearing those long boots with your little short skirts. Well, not Bradley,
not me,
of course.
Only on weekends.
Yeah, all those lovely winter clothes. But as soon as we hit that kind of season, we're instantly looking ahead, I think, thinking, what are we going to be doing next spring and next summer? And we're planning our summer holidays and how you want to actually look. So we know what's going to be happening with autumn and winter with colours. And there's been some great influences out there, but it's moving that a little bit more forward and going into the spring and summer.
It's just important to be ahead of the game with these things, really, and to understand where they come from so that when that time does roll around, you're ready to go.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
So, Jane, I'm going to let you just talk for a second while I try and sort out our Instagram feed, which is...
not playing.
Sadly not playing, so we're going to try and get that to play.
Okay.
So if you just want to introduce a little bit more about maybe the colours of next year. I know that we did all look at this previously, didn't we? And there was things like silver hair and denim and stuff. So tell us a bit more about
There's lots of influences coming through for spring and summer 22. There's lots of different colours coming through. We're still going to have that huge blonde influence as well. If you're going to be looking at the blondes and wanting to change your colour up a little bit, you'll be looking at more of the silver blondes and those platinum shades as well coming through for spring and summer. Also looking at those light metallic shimmers as well. So anything that's got like a metallic kind of hint to it as well. And those silver tones. And those silver tones really do flatter most skin types as well. So whatever skin type you actually are in colouring, those real platinum blondes will actually really suit you. It's finding that really correct shade of hair that's going to actually do that for you as well. Our favourite pastels, and the pastels we've actually been seeing now for the last few seasons, the last 2 seasons at least, we've been seeing a lot of pastel colours and a lot of brighter colours coming through. Your pastel colours are still going to actually be there. Your pastel pinks and your rainbow colours. And when we're thinking of your pink shades, and you can see one of our pink wigs behind Bradley, which is in the new colour Icy Petal, which is absolutely beautiful. The wig is silky sleek from the Muse collection. And that particular colour has got the real platinum blonde running through it, and then shades of really subtle pink shades as well, like candy floss colours. So those colours will actually be making a big influence through the summer months as well. And you can adjust that pink shade to actually match your skin tone as well. And I think it's really important to get that right shade of hair to go with your skin tone. If you've got quite fair skin, then try one of the lighter pastel shades that you might actually see in the collections. If you've actually got darker, more olivey coloured skin, then go for a darker shade of pink, and that's going to actually enhance your colour so much more as well. So we've got those really beautiful blondes. We're still looking at the platinums. We're looking at those pastel shades as well. But also we're still looking at all those denim kind of colours as well, Bradley. Last summer we had like the blues and the denim colours. And again, behind Bradley, you can see one of the blue wigs that we've actually got. And that one's actually called Bradley. The name.
That one is the Breezy Waves.
Breezy Waves. And the colour was... We've got to get him working tonight because it's back
sapphire.
In the frozen sapphire. And what's so great about that, it really gives it that denim kind of flavour. You've got the really dark root and those light bleached out ends. So you're looking and you're thinking of like those 70s styles when all your jeans are a little bit faded and a little bit tatty. And that's the kind of colour for the hair that we actually want to actually have. So again, you're going to have a lot of your pastels, a lot of your denim blues coming through, but those real blonde, platinum blondes and your pinks as well. When we're thinking of all the actual rainbow colours, we've got the ever favourite Lennox in Rainbow R. And when you look at that, or if you look at it quite closely, if I just bring that a little bit closer to your camera, you can see all those very subtle shades of those pastel colours coming through. That's what you're going to see a lot of coming through this, next spring and next summer.
Well, Jane, you know, it looks as though there's some technical issues with Instagram tonight.
Oh no, that's
Shock.
a shame.
It seems to be the one to go down, doesn't it? But
it always is.
Yeah, never mind. The show must go on.
It will go on.
We can see there's quite a few viewers there, so let's just continue.
We'll continue. Yeah, we're live on obviously Facebook and on YouTube.
We are.
If you can keep watching us on those platforms, hopefully Instagram might come back.
It may rejoin us. That would be nice.
Which would be lovely if it actually does, especially as we're both back together this week as well.
Reunited.
It's always quite difficult with technical stuff. And when you're live, and this is what proves to you that we are live, we don't pre-record these because we do get these little hiccups that happen from time to time, isn't it, really?
And when you're this side of the camera, there's no hiding from it either.
No, you can't. We've just got a smile in.
It's fine. We've got a good show, so let's just crack on.
We've got lots to actually go on with. Bradley's been doing a lot of research into a lot of the actual designers, which you can actually see up on the screen now. Hopefully everybody can. And I'm going to leave Bradley to actually introduce some of these designers and actually pronounce their names. We've been practicing all evening.
We tried really hard with this one, so apologies if it's wrong, but Loewe. So, these guys did a fantastic job at Fashion Week this year. As you can see, the colours, some of what you were just talking about, is definitely coming through with these styles once again. So, you've got these, they're not quite pastel, but they're almost there. It's definitely very pastel pink, isn't it?
Pinks. You've got that real purple blueberry, which we've got a blueberry burst colour as well in the collection, which is absolutely amazing, isn't it? Beautiful, beautiful colour in the collection. And then you've also almost got, following with the blue theme, it's almost like a diesel blue, isn't it?
It is. It's a really beautiful colour.
Yeah, it's kind of a teal kind of shade. You've got those shades of kind of green and blues coming through. They're almost like peacock. And I think it's just fun to have all those colours.
It is fun, and the designer of this collection, the whole premise behind it, when asked why they made the decisions with these colours, they said, well, we've had the pandemic, we have to come out of it different.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really good way of looking at it all. You know, you can't go into something like that and come out expecting to be exactly the same. I think it's changed so many people's lives.
It does, and I think we actually all look at things differently now.
Definitely.
Isn't it? How we actually react to different people, even your daily work, how you actually do things, it all is slightly more differently. I know this last week or so I've been playing around with colour a lot as well, because I've been designing some new colours for a new collection, hopefully, which will be out next year. And those colours I've had great fun with in the last few days, designing them and using all those pastels and those really bright, vibrant shades as well. And I've kind of been looking, I've been looking around for inspiration at all different things. Obviously a lot of images online, but also when I'm walking around and it's like, you know, autumn now, we've got all those beautiful red leaves and you've got the shades of conkers in the trees. But also for red shades, I've actually been looking at my spice rack.
I thought you were going to say the Spice Girls then. Me too.
Yeah, we were talking about them earlier. No, my spice rack, because you've got everything in colours from like paprika, turmeric, cinnamon.
You do.
And you've got all those beautiful, beautiful shades that you can actually work with. So I've been taking my influence from lots of things like that as well.
Well, the interesting thing with this collection is the whole idea of it is a birth of a new aesthetic. So you're really starting again now that we're sort of released back into the wild. They had no gimmicks at this show. It was literally just an empty room, and then walking down the middle with these bright colours. And the actual colours themselves have been taken from a painting, which is a really odd one, but it makes sense to me. So the painting is called The Deposition from the Cross, and it's by an artist called Pontormo.
Okay.
And it's from a very long time ago, and it's from just after Italy came out from being in the plague.
Oh wow!
So the OG plague, the original
plague, not the one we've just come through.
No, so we're coming out of our own one now, and then they've taken influence from these same colours, and this is what they've come up with. And if you get a chance to look up that painting, it's very, very kind of like a churchy religious art type thing. But it's weirdly in these colours. You don't see that when you go into a church, like all these pastel.
Oh wow!
It's really bright. I'm really like, yay, you know.
Yeah, and that's what you want, though, isn't
it? Yeah. So it's an interesting take on it, but they're just so close to what we have in our Muse collection.
It is,
That is just, the whole thing is the Muse collection.
That is the whole collection, isn't it, really? It is. All of those colours, and they're just great colours to actually have.
They are. They're really fun.
And I think, you know, when you've got your own bio hairs, you know, you find it quite easy to change the colour of your hair, but maybe you don't want to. Maybe you want to actually keep your own hair in that really nice tip-top condition. And it's all about condition and shine with hair. But just wear a wig.
Yeah.
Use it as an accessory if you've got your own bio hair. A lot of people out there have to wear wigs for different reasons. And we're there to actually supply those people. But again, those people, if they don't need to wear a wig, they just want to use it as a fashion accessory. And I think when you look at the Muse collection, that's what really comes across.
Yeah.
That it is that fashion accessory.
It's youthful, it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's maybe not every day for some people, but it's certainly a great
It's
accessory.
Weekend hair, isn't it?
It is weekend hair.
Yeah, going to that party, or just going in and giving your boss a bit of a shock on a Monday morning, you know.
I think we'd all love it here. There'd be no shock. We'd be like, you look amazing, well done.
There'd be no shock here.
No.
Working in for a wig company. But I think if you were working in an office and or a bank and you suddenly went in with your hair pink or a denim colour or the blueberry person, you'd be like, oh, what have you done? Get called into the manager's office probably.
So,
but I think it would be quite fun to actually do.
I think so. And I think with the Muse as well, you get a lot of waves and things. So it just leads me on to the next point, which is about texture. So I think covering colour and texture, you've kind of encompassed everything. And then we can look a bit more in detail and stuff. So
texture is really important, I think, isn't it?
It's been a big thing.
Next kind of spring and summer, everybody's looking at texture. They wanted to actually feel. And I think everybody is a little bit done with more of those sleek looks.
Yeah.
And they want something that's a little bit more free, a little bit more kind of relaxed as well. So you'll probably spend equally as much time styling your hair styling your wig
to
get it to look unstyled
Yeah.
as you would if you wanted it to be completely sleek. But it just gives you that beautiful texture that you can actually play with, isn't it, really? It's all about embracing your own natural wave if you've got it, or if you've got a wig, not being too precious about it, having to be straight and sleek. Put a little bit of product in there to create that texture.
And the key word there you used was free.
Yeah.
And that has come up a lot when they've asked the designers what the influence was. And Etro, for example, here, which is just the prime example of texture. Now, to look at that kind of looks like, well, they haven't done anything. But as you say, that would have taken a fair bit of effort to get that. I certainly wouldn't wake up looking like that.
I wish I did.
No, it'd be great, wouldn't it? But Etro's whole influence behind this was nostalgia. So nostalgia for a 70s London, you know, the daytime.
Yep.
That lifestyle mixed with
Very
the
Bieber.
90s. Yeah. Mixed with the 90s Shoreditch night out. So those two things combined, it's obviously just two fond memories of the designer. And it's all about finding balance, having mindfulness and yoga. So it's all very 70s kind of hippie, isn't it, in a way? But again, that influence can only come from probably their way of a lot of people's way of coping in the last year has been to find that mindfulness, that balance, be in the moment, and to just care less.
Yeah, because I think everybody's had to actually learn, haven't they, really? I think some of us in the very beginning of lockdown did get very, very stressed.
Yeah.
Very anxious about a lot of different things, about going out, seeing anybody, or, you know, having to do anything.
A lot of people get anxious about just staying in.
Staying in. And then when they've been locked in for so long, anxious again about leaving that house, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or leaving your flat to actually go out and start to integrate again with, you know, work colleagues and friends. So just to have that kind of, everybody had to learn where their happy place was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it could have been just that little walk on the beach, little walk around, you know, you couldn't go far anyway in the beginning because they didn't let you go far.
But you also had to work with what you had. And if you have your own bio hair, it meant not being able to get that cut for months on end.
Yep.
You know, who was really styling their hair at home to sit around the house? Some people, I definitely did, to sort of feel good on some days.
Yep.
Lots of baths, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you did spend a lot of time in
the bath last year, but, you know, I think it's working with that.
Not so much this year.
Right.
Joking.
But it's definitely, you know, that natural texture comes through. I think we've just got used to that unpolished look.
Yeah.
And I think that's nice that comes through. So, yeah, that's Etro. Prime example of the texture. We've got? So I'm going to try this clicker now. Oh, it works. Look at that. 2021 is amazing.
Excellent.
So the next two we're going to look at was Courage.
Yeah, and that's quite grungy look, isn't it? Really?
It is, but I quite like it.
I mean, there is a lot of wet look hair around for the coming spring and summer. So if you've got that really short hair, there's a lot of wet look hair. But also in this, it looks quite grungy.
It does.
You'd look at it and think you need a really good wash.
But it's working with your natural texture again, isn't it?
It is just bringing out that natural texture of the actual hair.
Yeah, and the same thing again with Altuzara.
Yeah.
You know, the two of them, they're very different shows. So the Courages, the idea was a space age rave. So the whole thing, you're quite right with the grungy thing, because it's influenced by the fact that we could only do things outdoors. And a lot of youth were taking sort of illegal raves and things to the extreme in the outdoors during last year. So it's influenced by the idea of freedom, fighting for freedom, and festivals of the 60s and 70s still. So I think that's why you've got the mini braids, which are present in both of these.
Yeah, and they used to be around the ears, didn't they? Yeah. Everybody had those little, you can get little clip-in ones if you don't want to actually braid your wig, but the wig that's just behind Bradley, we put a little braid,
it's just
and you can see it just in that front. And what we've actually done, instead of putting an elastic band on the end, we've actually just rubbed the fibre between our fingers just to actually mat it together a little bit, and it actually holds that little braid together without actually putting any elastic bands into it.
I think it's a really nice touch.
It's just simple to do.
To do that, I mean...
Yeah. If you've got dead straight hair, or even if you've got that hair with a little bit of a wave to your wig, putting a little bit of braid into it just works really, really well.
Yeah.
If you wanted to add a bit of colour into it, you could always just kind of braid some cotton through it as well, or very fine silk through it, so you've got a little bit of colour, or just tie it off with a coloured elastic band.
So in terms of the texture here with the wet look, Jane, you can definitely achieve this with synthetic fibre as well as human hair, couldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you were looking at a synthetic wig, select a wig that's got a little bit of movement to it and a little bit of wave to it as well. And then just by putting some product through it, you might want to put a little bit of wax through it, like a wax blast, which would make it look wet. And you can actually add all that texture into it by using some product with it. So you can create that both ways. I think the thing is, when you're putting a lot of product onto a wig to actually create that kind of look, whether it's a synthetic wig or whether it's a human hair wig, you are really overloading the hair or the fibre with that product. So when you come to actually wash the product out, you need to be really quite thorough to actually get it clean and to actually remove that product.
Yeah.
But if it's a look you're going to actually wear kind of almost daily and you want your hair to look like that, you only probably need to put the product in once, and then just to actually just give it a light misting with some water, and that just refreshes the product so you can get that kind of soft, natural movement to it again.
Something else I noticed with that, obviously with the texture of it, they've waved the hair, but they've left the ends very straight.
They've left it straight, yeah. Yeah, so if you've got human hair, you would just curl from your top, going down to probably midway, and then the ends are just left straight.
And the same would work with a high heat fibre.
High heat fibre, you could do exactly the same with that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you started off with one that had a slight wave to it to begin with, just grab that one on the side. And like this one, for instance, which is from our Muse collection, and this is the Breezy Waves. So you've got that little bit of wave to it, but if you wanted to straighten that hair at the ends to actually get rid of that wave, just run your straighteners through it, and that would actually just straighten that off, and then just put your product on. So it'd be a really easy look to actually achieve with your wig. And I think also when you put a wet look onto it and using products, it actually enhances the colour sometimes.
Yes.
So when you've got different colour tones running through a wig, you're going to actually see those a lot more as well, just by actually putting that wet look through it.
Lovely.
And there's lots of different tones going through all of the different wigs, and it will enhance them once you've actually styled it a little bit more.
Nice. So the next two looks we were looking at, one of these you're actually going to do a bit of a demonstration on for us.
I will, for the Fendi one.
Yeah. So with Fendi, it's an interesting one because its whole show comes from the influence of a guy that designed a logo for them right back when the brand started, from what I can understand.
Okay.
His name's Antonio Lopez, and he is a 60s, 70s illustrator. So he did a lot of the fashion illustrations for them back then. And obviously, you know what a fashion illustration is like. It's very flowy and dreamy. So all of the hair was very 70s inspired, but very
big and wavy.
Flowy and big and almost like it's been drawn or painted.
Yeah.
So it's a really nice hair up, though. It's just something a bit different about bringing it from the face like this.
I think it's just really simple as well.
It is.
It's knowing how to actually achieve it. Obviously, that's done
to
with...
bring you in a little more, Jane, because I'm going to be
that's
in the way. So I will move to one side while you do that.
So that's actually done, obviously, on somebody's bio hair. So they're going to be able to scrape the hair right back off their face quite easily. When you've got a wig and you're wearing a wig, you've got to be a little bit softer with it, really, Bradley. So you're not going to be able to scrape it off quite as much as it looks in the image, but you can do something really very similar with it. So this wig's just been waved. It's human hair, actually, and we've actually just put some curl through it just to give it some body. And I just want to actually take this section up and away so it looks just like it is in the image. And what I'm going to actually do is, and it's really simple, quite easy to do, is just take that front quarter of the actual hair. So it's just that front section that I'm taking away. And then I'm just twisting and pulling the hair up at the same time. So you can see we're just creating that lovely coil that we've actually got in that Fendi image that Bradley actually found.
It looks quite classic, like goddessy.
It's a very classic look. It's very, very easy to do. And then you would just take a couple of pins just to actually secure it in place for you. So it's a look that you can achieve quite easily. Do it with any wig as long as you've got a little bit of, length that you can twist it around. And that's all you would need to do. And then you can just, take the hair and just make it as big as you want to all the way over. If you were going out for an evening though, you could just take it one step further, and I've got these little pins which has just got a little diamante on the end. They're actually quite pretty. Again, you can just take them and just pop them in along where you've twisted the hair, just to give it that other little look. And if I take the head off, you can actually see that a little bit closer with the actual camera. So
yeah,
easy to do, Bradley. It's one that you could have done for us.
Actually,
we could have done a challenge, Bradley, on that one, I think. But really simple. And again, if you're kind of at work and then you're going out straight from work and you just want to create that different look, then I think it's just a really great, easy one to actually do.
Yeah.
Should we just take that one out and
we'll take her
let
out
Bradley come back in for a second?
I think that's the important thing with a lot of these looks, Jane, is that they have a very quick turnaround when they're backstage to do these looks.
They do.
So they're actually a lot more simple than you might think.
I think when you actually look at them on an image like this, because you've got the makeup, you've got all the clothes going on, you've got the jewellery, it makes it look quite elaborate. But when you actually, and as Bradley said, you know, when you're working backstage, you've got minutes. You know, not even that really. They're changing the clothes at the same time as somebody trying to do the hair.
Yeah.
So it's got to be quick little turnarounds, and something like that just works really well. Easy. And I think when you can like just embellish it, if you are going out for an evening, again, it's just a very simple thing to do. And you can pick up all these little pins anywhere. I think we get ours on like ASOS and Amazon and all our accessories in all different places like that. But it works really easily. Yeah.
And on the flip side of this, which, I mean, you could technically take the style from the left-hand side here into the one in the right if you really wanted to, because you're going to get the same kind of texture to the hair when you let that out, aren't you?
Absolutely. You're going to get all that twisted. And what you'll see with Regina and what you're going to notice is that to actually achieve that look, it's a really easy look to achieve, but the hair has to actually be wet. You need to put a lot of wax through it or a lot of gel through it. Because when you twist two pieces of hair, they automatically want to unwind. So you need to actually put product on them to get them to actually stay in that twist and that rope effect.
Science.
So that's the trick to it when you're actually doing that kind of look.
Yeah.
Easy to do, but it's all about the product.
It is, and it's a really interesting one behind this one. It was quite a strange story behind it, and it's quite simply that I believe the designer was pregnant during the time they were planning the show, and they were inspired by Team GB at the Olympics because it was the thing that was on all the time. So a lot of the hair from this is quite scraped back, wet, or it's almost sporty. But the whole idea is that women don't have to be soft. It can be structured and still be soft. I think that's really nice. Yeah. It's a really nice thing.
Yeah. And can you almost notice on there as well, it's got like that metallic sheen to it. So I think whatever wax they've actually used or gel, they've made sure it's got that metallic kind of sheen to it as well. So it just sparkles.
Yeah.
And that looks just really quite pretty
really nice.
As well. So what could be quite a hard style actually looks quite soft because you do have that lovely sheen to it as well.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's really good. So, more from Regina is this. So what would we call that? What sort of cut is that on the left? It's almost like a pixie.
It's like a grown-out pixie.
Yeah. Bordering on mullet in a way. A very short mullet.
Short mullet, bordering out, grown-out pixie. Somebody might have gone into that pixie cut 2 summers ago when we were talking about the pixie cut. Didn't get their hair cut for the last year, and that's what. But it's still got that softness and structure to it as well, isn't it? Really, I
think it's really beautiful. I think with the colour as well, it's really nice.
It really does.
And it's quite similar in the same way as what we saw coming through from the Coach show. And there's really not much to say about this because the designer, when asked what the influence was, simply said, less fuss, more fun.
Very simple.
Very to the point.
Words, then.
And I think that's very...
And it is. There's no fuss to that at all.
No.
It's been cut and that's it, isn't it? Got beautiful bright red to it. And, you know, with the influences of red hair as well, they're really in the forefront. We're going to see a lot of reds as well. And a big influence of that is from the Anna Taylor-Joy's hair. And if you ever watched it, all of you, and I know you did, Bradley, watched The Queen's Gambit.
Oh, on Netflix.
Amazing film. If you've not watched it, do actually. After you finish watching us, that is. Do,
Please stay.
Yeah, stay for now, but watch it afterwards because it is a fantastic film if you've not seen it. And Anna Taylor-Joy was the lead actress in it. And she had a very short micro fringe. And again, fringes are all making those comebacks as well. But she had that really stunning copper red hair, which is lovely, and it's going back to those all over tones of red as well, rather than the reds that are actually broken up. You're going to find that they're all kind of one shade of red, and you get the deeper reds and the coppers in the actual Albans as well. And again, they've gone for the red on there.
Well, it's a benefit of a synthetic piece, isn't it, with red, because red is the hardest colour to keep in your hair. Washes out so quick because to do with the colour molecules or something, isn't it? They're larger, so they flush through.
They just wash out.
Don't know why I know that.
Working in a hairdresser's a while ago, I think. But no, red is, it always fades, it oxidizes really, really quickly. So you end up going to more like coppery ends of your hair. Excuse me, and it always looks a little bit washed out if you don't keep it fresh. I'm going to choke.
Please don't, not live on camera.
But yeah, these red influences, you are going to see a lot of those. And it was a lot of influence from the Queen's Gambit. And the actress, is it Gigi Hadid?
She's a model.
She's a model. She actually coloured her hair as well red.
Yeah.
So we are seeing a lot of those kind of shades coming through again. I particularly love red hair.
Yeah, so, me too. Always have done.
I think it's a really great shade to actually have.
Yeah.
I'm normally red in the winter and go a little bit not so red in the summer months, but it is a great colour.
It is a great colour.
A great colour to wear.
So you're going to kind of recreate this cut for us, aren't you, tonight?
I'm going to.
The colour of next year, though.
With the colour of next year, yeah, because when we've been looking at colours as well as kind of styles in the influences that Bradley's been researching and looking at, we wanted to try to recreate something between Regina Pio.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well done.
Regina Pio and Coach. So we've taken one of our wigs from the Sensu Lotus collection. And this particular wig is the hazel. And the colour is zebra rooted. But with this kind of colour, because all the silvery blondes are going to be really in for next spring and next summer, and also with those slight metallic tones to it as well. And when we look at this particular colour, the ends of the hair are very, very silvery, and they do almost have that metallic sheen to it as well. So it's a colour that we're going to actually be using a lot, and hopefully a lot of you will actually use it a lot as well. I chose this one because we've got the root to it, so it's giving it a little bit more depth as well for when we actually start to actually cut this and style it.
Right, well, I'm going to get out of your way whilst you do the few tweaks to kind of
grab my scissors.
Go for it, Jane.
And Bradley's going to carry on talking to me.
I am.
As well. Oh, and you're going round there. You're going off the camera altogether.
I am. But I think it's quite interesting with these, Jane, because it's still the shaggy haircuts coming back through again. And it's like we said, you know, outgrown looks that have been adapted, and you've got that added length that people perhaps didn't have before, so they're just working with it.
They're just, yeah. And you can see maybe, you know, in the one with Coach, it almost looks as if that model's just kind of cut her own fringe, isn't it? It's almost like the mum at home doing a little haircut, isn't it? And the child's moved.
It's quite rebellious and quite, you know.
Yes, it is.
It's very punk freedom sort of.
Okay, so what I want to do with this one, normally it would come just brushed to one side and be quite sleek. It's got a little bit of movement, so I want to encourage that little bit of movement as well. So I'm just going to, by using my razor, and we tend to use razors a lot when we're cutting synthetic hair, rather than using our normal scissors. If I was just to use my normal scissors, we get too many blunt lines into it, so I'll use those more for actually creating a little bit of texture. I just want to actually pop quite a short fringe into it, because I feel, you know, they have quite a short fringe in this. And I'm just going to pop a new blade in, which I hadn't changed before I started. And can I ask you to, just over the other side, Bradley, some of my finishing products?
Yeah, what ones would you like for this look?
I'd like the actual spray, which is like the sea salt spray. Full effect. That's it, was the spray. Yeah. If you want to bring them all over, and then we'll have a little play around with them.
I'll bring everything your way.
So there we go. We're just taking that little fringe into it. And when you're cutting a wig, or if you've not had your hair cut, you know, your wig cut before by anybody, try to get it done by a professional hairdresser or somebody who actually, you know, has worked with wigs before. And when we're working with wigs in cutting them, it's completely different to cutting human hair, because I actually think it's a little bit more like sculpture, because we're actually just putting the shape that we want into the wig. A lot of these wigs are actually, you know, they're what we call ready to wear wigs. So they've got the shape in them already. We just want to actually enhance it and change it. For this look, we're going to be taking quite a lot of the actual hair off this. So I've just put in that soft fringe, and now I just want to take away some of that length through the actual sides.
I love that fringe already, Jane.
Doesn't it change the look of that wig, Bradley?
Absolutely. But it looks really soft still, you know, because of the lack of straight line, you know.
It gives the hair a completely new look. And again, if you've been wearing a wig for a while, maybe you've been wearing this particular one and you fancy that completely different look, just pop into your hairdressers or make an appointment with any of our salons, because all of our staff, they can cut and style any wig that comes into them, and it just gives you that completely different look. It just revamps it a little bit for you.
I think it's just really nice because, like you say, it changes the look completely with the sort of vibe of the whole piece. Because when you get a wig, they're very precision cut. They're very good styles that are very staple and solid and classic. And this just makes it so much edgier.
I think what it does, it personalises it for you. So, you know, depending on your look, your personality, what clothes you want to wear, it can actually change that look completely. So never be afraid to kind of experiment or speak to the actual person you're buying your wig from. Say, you know, take a photograph, say this is what you'd like to achieve, and do they have a wig that you can actually achieve this look with? And most people would be able to cut and style a wig to actually achieve most of these different looks that we're trying to actually show you today. Even as simple as just cutting a small fringe into it, just changes it completely.
Do you know what it kind of reminds me of as well? Is Miley Cyrus has been doing quite a few of these long mullet.
She has,
type looks, and
yeah,
they're really cool. There's something about it that's quite feminine at the same time as being quite rebellious and not, you know, so girly.
Yeah, because you don't want to always be like pretty girly, isn't it, really? And I mean, this is just creating a lot of actual texture.
Yeah.
And creating a lot of movement through the actual hair as well. And that's what I'm doing, is creating texture and movement. The back of this is really quite long, so I really want to take some of this weight out through that back section, through here. So I'm just going to actually work through that. And you're probably thinking I'm working quite randomly. I'm not taking sections that you would see hairdressers taking with people's own bio-growing hair. And that's the thing with wigs. When we've designed them, we've spent a lot of time putting that style into it, so the wigs are all made to the actual pattern we want them made to. And then it's that skill of that stylist who can really create that different look for you just by personalising that wig.
It makes it fall really nicely as well, what you've done so far.
It's lovely. And this, I mean, before we came live, I'd done no preparation on this at all. So there was no cheating involved, so to say. Because, you know, I know a lot of time people do prep things up beforehand if they do. This came up from our warehouse today. Thankfully in time for tonight's show. And I literally took it out of the box and popped it onto the head, ready for this evening. And I think when Bradley come down, he didn't even know which wig I was actually cutting.
No, I didn't.
So it was all done very unprepared. I just looked through the styles and thought, yeah, this particular wig, Hazelwood, you'd be able to create that look quite easily. So I'm just going to take some of this weight out through this top section. And this is doing it quite quickly for all of you. If you were having this done in a salon, we would take a little bit longer over the actual cut, but I just want to actually show you how easy it is to create something. And I keep looking at my reference on the actual screen as well to see if we're actually getting it right. I'm going to put some shorter layers through the sides. I think it needs a little bit of that weight taken out as well. And I think with this colour you can really see where it's rooted, how it actually plays quite well, Bradley, with those real silver ends.
It makes it look a little bit edgier again because you've got the root.
I think it does, yeah. Yeah, because you can almost see, like through this side, almost a shadow coming through, and that's where it's almost as if you've got that regrowth on your actual hair coming through. So again, just take some of that extra weight out through those sides. I think when we're cutting a wig, it's all very visual.
Yeah.
You look and you feel and you think, oh, if you need some hair taken out from this side or this side, you can just do it. You don't need to be too precious about getting your angles right or anything else. And I'm just going to swap my blade over again. It's surprising how many blades we actually get through in the course of a day when we're actually cutting synthetic hair, because they really blunt the blade really quickly.
Imagine.
So if any hairdressers are out there watching, always remember, put a new blade in. You might need a new, 2-3 blades drawing a haircut, depending how much you're actually cutting off that hair. So always get ready. Make sure you never run out of your blades at all. And we do get through quite a lot of them. And shall we give this wig away tonight, Bradley? Did you want to come up with a question?
I think we should save this one. I think we should put this one online, show people what you've done.
Okay.
And then do a competition that way.
Online
I just think
competition.
This looks really, really good.
But that would be quite a different one.
Yeah,
a
let's
nice
do
online
something
competition.
quite different. So what sort of products would you recommend using in this kind of cut, Jane? Because it's quite textured, so I presume you wouldn't want something that weighs it down too much.
You don't want anything that's going to weigh it down, no. You just want something to actually encourage the actual movement and to actually bring out those different looks. And what I'm going to use on it, I'm almost at that finishing stage now, would be the Redkin Windblown.
That sounds very appropriate.
Which is this particular one. You can again get that online from us, and it's going to create a lot of texture for me, and that's what this is all about. I want to keep creating that texture, and I'm just going to again just take some of that length away. Again, just creating a little bit more texture through that top area, and again through this crown as well. And these are just normal hairdressing techniques that hairdressers actually use every day within the salons, but we create a lot of movement and a lot of texture by doing these different looks.
So I've got a question for you, Jane, about these styles that we see in the pictures. How likely do you think it is that these are actually wigs?
In these pictures, actually, I would say it is quite likely that a lot of them are wigs.
Because generally, I don't think you're able to cut models' hair, are you?
Models' hair, they normally have a clause in their contract saying that they don't want their hair cut, or you can't colour it or do anything else with it. So, yes, quite often that's the case. Grab my hair dryer for me. So, a lot of the time, stylists will use wigs.
Makes it that bit more interesting that we're replicating it now that, you kind of have that knowledge.
Yeah, most of them will use a wig. They use hair pieces just to enhance the actual hair, but wigs all the actual time. I'm just going to blow this. Ooh.
Not loud.
I just want to get rid of. Just wanted to get rid of that hair on it, and then I'm going to take the Windblown, and this creates texture as well as it mattifies the hair as well. So if the hair is a little bit too shiny, it will actually mattify the hair for you as well. And I think when you're using product on a wig, and probably my biggest tip to you is use a small amount. You can always go back and put more into it. But if you put too much product, says she, if you put it's all gone down my throat. If you put too much product into it to begin with, it's going to be really hard to get out. You're going to have to wash it to get rid of it, really. So I'm just taking my fingers through this. And you can see the cut gave it so much texture anyway. And the actual Windblown spray is just giving it a little bit more texture and a bit more lift to it as well. With the fringe, you can take it anywhere, you can bring it forward. It just works really with whichever direction you want it to. So what do you think, Bradley?
I love it. I actually think it's pretty good. It could have been used on either of these shows.
And I'll just turn you around so you can see the back. I mean, that could go, I could keep cutting all evening. I mean, I'd quite like to cut it a lot shorter all the way around, but
I think that with a black leather jacket would be
look quite cool.
Well away.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah. Really
yeah,
nice.
And I really like that colour on that one as well.
Yeah.
I think it just works really, really nicely. So we'll be putting that one.
We'll put that up on our social media page tomorrow.
For somebody to
with
actually.
a special question.
Oh, look out for the question, everybody.
And then we can announce the winner for that one next week, I think. Next time we're on.
Yeah, I'll put her to one side so you can keep looking at it to see if you'd like to enter that competition to win that one.
We'll keep admiring your work, Jane.
Yeah, and we're going to be back, well, 2 weeks' time now, isn't it, Bradley? And we've got our Halloween special.
We do.
But it's all going to be about the new Noriko collection as well.
It is, yeah, which is coming very soon. So that's exciting.
Yeah, so big focus on the new collections, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is really good.
It's really good. Yeah, and obviously we had my challenge last week.
We did, yes.
Which was a lot of fun, and I hope it made a lot of you laugh like it made us laugh, because
we did have fun doing that, didn't we?
Well, we just didn't realise just how many faces we pull when we're talking.
Yeah, it was really, it was quite scary, wasn't it? How we actually look at one another and the faces.
I feel like I would like to be frozen solid now.
Yeah,
so
not making one of those faces. Because,
yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of facial expressions.
We do, but maybe that's why we're on here talking to everybody. It's quite entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd like actually, for all of you to actually come up with some more challenges. We'd really like to see some more challenges for Bradley to actually do, or for me to show and teach Bradley to actually do. I think last week when we done the Christine headwear, that was really good.
It was good.
It was quite an easy one to begin with, but we are up for any challenge
within reason,
as long as it's something to do with hair.
Yeah.
And wigs, of course.
Yeah. And keep it PG, guys. It's a family channel.
Yeah, we don't.
Pre-9.
Yeah, we don't have to go out after 9 o'clock.
No.
Normally. I know sometimes we run over, but yeah, we'd have to keep those segments to later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so send any ideas you've got for challenges, and that would be absolutely fantastic. We'd like to hear about your challenge you'd like to give Bradley. And we'll try to do one of those each time we go live.
Sure.
Or pre-record it so it can actually go onto our Facebook and Instagram when in between being live with all of you, which I think would actually keep it quite bright and quite fresh.
Very entertaining.
Yes, it would be entertaining.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed learning about this stuff tonight as well, because I know some of these things that I've dropped little facts on you didn't know.
I didn't know.
Quite obscure, and they're things that I didn't know until I looked into things. But I think it's important to always understand why things are happening and how to achieve them and be prepared.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got completely different backgrounds, isn't it? I look at colour and style and how the wigs are made, and then you look at the other side of it, why, isn't it? And what reasons are behind it. So some of the little things you said tonight were, I want to look at that picture.
Yeah.
From Louis.
Yes.
Louis.
We'll look at that afterwards.
Yes,
I'll show you. It's very cool.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
But no, I think I learn every week as well as you.
Yeah, definitely. Never stop learning.
No, never.
And on that note, come back and watch us again in 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks' time, Halloween special and a sneak preview of Noriko.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
And some very, very exciting new styles coming out in that as well.
Yeah, really nice colours and styles.
Yeah, so that'd be very good.
Brilliant.
Okay, thank you, Bradley.
Thank you, Jane.
And thanks everybody for watching us this evening again. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry about Instagram for those who didn't get us.
We'll try better next time.
Hopefully next time it'll work for us.
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay, night everybody.